Okay, seems like we're live now. All right, it's time to start. It's 3 p.m. Nice. Checking if okay, yeah, the quality we can go up to 4K. Wow, I didn't know that. So we got 1080p quality, perfect. I see you, Long. I see you on the chat. Thank you for coming through. All right, we got 4 people watching. Let's get this started. So let's talk about making your resume pop. So before we get started, though, I'm gonna explain who I am. My name is Jonathan Padilla. I'm a first generation student, so the resume process was definitely a difficult one for me, and it wasn't the easiest process. And yeah, it was very difficult for me, at least. I'm an undergraduate, so a lot of the tips that I'm going to cover definitely do apply to people that are searching for internships, or even on new grad people that are looking for full-time roles. Perhaps people that are masters or PhD students might benefit from this, but it's a little bit different. So I do think the tips, though, do apply to a lot of other resumes as well, but I'll be covering that in a little bit. So another thing about me is I have received 2 offers. So pog you to that, poggers. Can you get poggers in the chat? No, okay, no one, no. So received 2 offers, namely State Farm and Amazon. I did a lot of interviews, though. I did get a lot of people reaching out to me, not reaching out to me, but people receiving my resume and then getting back to me and sending me invites to interview. So I guess that's really the main point of resumes. Resumes isn't really indicative of you obtaining a role. It's more indicative of you receiving feedback or receiving people's attention. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Let's make the resume pop. But before we get to that, we have to ask ourselves the questions. What do recruiters look for? It's not an easy question because not all of us, especially when we are not in the recruiting world, we're not in the recruiting industry. It's actually a whole industry. It's $1 billion industry, by the way. It's actually this event going on that I might attend to, but whatever. It's definitely very difficult for us because we sort of don't have the perspective, especially if you're a first generation student. You don't have any connections, you don't have any people that can help you with the process at all. So what is it exactly the recruiters look for? Well, recruiters are basically looking for this keyword, and it's just called a match. Okay, if you match your role with the minimum qualifications of the job listing, then you're in great shape. You will be able to obtain, their attention and potentially even extend it to the interview. And then the interview is a different stage, different process. And if you pass that, you hopefully get an offer that you for the employment, and then you start getting into the negotiation steps. So definitely resume is one of the most important ones, because without the resume, without getting through that first step, you won't be able to get to the other ones that lead to the offer. So here's an example of what a job listing is. This is for an internship, and you can see, I'll cover this in later, but big corporations actually make internship qualifications very broad and very easy for anyone to obtain. It's not really anything special. There's nothing that you have to have, 5 years of experience in X feature or X topic. You can it's basically, if you're a college student that has studied computer science, you're qualified for an interview, right? And so this is what we really want to look for. It says right here, I boxed this one that says knowledge of computer science fundamentals such as object-oriented design, algorithm design, data structures, problem solving, and complexity analysis. Now, the more people that are prepared for resumes, or the more people that want to be competitive, will notice this fact, and they will say, okay, I see keywords here. I see algorithm. I see data structures. I see object-oriented. I see problem solving is also a keyword. If you want to have your resume reflect that you have these capabilities, right? In this case, like the language, like sure, everyone that's learning programming is going to cover either Java, C, C++, or Python. So really, there's nothing that really matters about the language. You can even do any other language like Go or JavaScript or anything. It should still apply to the thing. So don't worry too much about what language you are the strongest in for the resume only, not for the interview stage. It's a little bit different story. But yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say in this point is that start noticing those keywords in the job posting. So I'm going to have another example here, or actually no example. Okay. So on the next slide, I'll cover like a more specialized role. So basically, this is the whole thing the recruiters are doing. They're looking for a match. You have to understand that the role of a recruiter is essentially to match business needs with talent. It's some hiring or some program manager or product manager is telling the recruiter, hey, I need XYZ people or X amount of people that really have some low level coding chops. They can also have some chops with design as well, something like that. It's a little bit weird. Low level when design kind of doesn't really go together because it's separating back end and front end, but it's not a topic for another day. But it's sort of similar to that. And then the recruiter goes out and has to either look inside of the internal network, internal ATS, internal application tracking system. That's what it's called. And usually those are populated from company events that people have attended to where they drop their resume and their email and their contact information. It also happens when they go to university events and also a resume drop from a bunch of students, or they go out and start hunting them in recruiting platforms such as, I believe Jumpstart is one of them. Handshake's definitely one of them. Piazza, I was surprised Piazza was one as well because I wouldn't expect it, but it's also one of the main recruiting funnels for actually a lot of Facebook recruiters recruit from Piazza, UT Arlington students. And there's plenty of other recruiting platforms. They either look inside internally or they go out and search for them. And it all starts off with an mass email to a bunch of candidates that fit the basic qualifications for either an internship new grad or anything like that. And that's the role of the recruiter. It's just essentially to get enough people to join the role. And recruiters are actually they're in fierce competition with a lot of other people. So it's actually to our benefit because we can apply to many roles and we can essentially be a match to a lot more other companies. So next point I want to cover is it varies by company. The match that they're looking for varies by company. They're looking for different things, different specializations or different skills that you have for each job, and it's different. So you have to really look out in the job listing, see what the minimum requirements are. See also the bonus requirements. You don't have to tick them. It's called bonus for a reason, but it is something to look forward to if you know you want this role in like 1 to 2 years. You get that experience for 1 to 2 years beforehand, apply for the next batch, and you'll be well on your way to hopefully getting their attention, right? So this is a tip that most people say, change your resume if applying to many roles. So one job is applying to AR technologies, is an example. Another job mentions Docker and Kubernetes a lot. You know all of these three things, but guess what? The one where it's special, it mentioned Docker and Kubernetes a lot more. You're gonna want to have your resume reflect that. Put that in. Put the Docker and Kubernetes in the front part of the resume. Make that the first thing that they see. Bold it. And your project, do specifically the projects if you've done that. Have the Docker and Kubernetes component or stack that you have worked on. And on the GitHub, make sure to have a GitHub that really shows off your knowledge and shows off the technical abilities that you've learned or that you know. Like, say, for example, what are the actually that's in another slide, but I'll speak of that a little bit later. Basically, what I was going to say, you have to tell the recruiter that, or someone that is an engineer, if they were to ask you a lot of these questions, you have to be able to hold a conversation, explain the drawdowns of whatever design decisions you made, or the alternatives that you chose that could have happened, and the drawdowns of those, the drawbacks of those as well. It just makes you all around better, well-rounded candidate and more competitive. But for another point I would like to make is specifically for recruiters, for companies in general, is that larger companies and entry-level positions mean that they're not really looking for you to be special in anything. They're not really looking for you to be someone in AR or someone in AI or anything in machine learning related. They're just looking for someone that knows how to program and can take any set of requirements and translate them into functioning code, and code that executes well without bugs, stuff like that. And if they want to see that you're obviously also able to debug your code, notice there's no language barrier for that thing. You can't say, oh, you can only debug code on Python. Oh, you can only problem solve with JavaScript. Or you can only do XYZ with a specific language. So the language portion of the resume isn't really as important. They just want to see that you have the basic skills of a software engineer, because that's the benefit of a large company, is that they hire you based on your potential. And typically you see these in a lot of internships, but also new grad roles, especially the ones that don't require PhD students or masters, which I'm not one. So it's a little bit more iffy, the advice that I can give on that front. But yeah, so what I'm saying is larger companies means that the more general they are. And actually there's like so many large companies, like you just have to get out there and look for them. Sometimes one thing people can do is look at all the Fortune 500 companies, the ones that are like in the streets, and you can see them outside. Those are the most successful ones, and a lot of them do have roles for internships or software engineering. So definitely apply to them, and you'll be surprised at how your resume can get results or get people reaching out to you for the interview stage. So for example, like I did not know that Toyota or Chrysler or any of those car manufacturers were actually hiring for a lot of software engineering roles, because I didn't really see that, but actually are. And so be on the lookout for large companies, because those are it might be dangerous to say this, but I think that larger companies are probably a little bit easier to get in, because they have the budget to spend on someone that they see the potential in. So get out there, apply. The rule of large numbers does apply here. The more you apply to a lot of roles, the more resumes you send out, the more likelihood that you'll get at least a few responses back that will extend the offer. So another thing that people or recruiters look for is they look for hackathons or personal side projects, because that is an indication that you are able to not just stay within one lane. You actually do have the ability to draft up a problem that you have, which is the side project type of thing, or draft up a problem that someone else set upon you, which is the hackathon thing, and start coding and programming and problem solving. So remember that keyword that I mentioned, there's sort of box right there. That's what they're looking for in your resume. Problem solving is implicit in your resume. So be careful with not ever having any project. Definitely, even if it's a React Hello World, put that there. It's worthwhile. Even if it's just a concept and not really, you didn't write any code, put that there. It's better than nothing. It's going to improve the likelihood of you getting attention. So here's an example of another internship qualifications. Notice again, a super large corporation. Notice the minimum qualification is super general as well. You only need 1 year with Perl, Java, PHP, Python, C++, and you must be enrolled in a computer science degree, right? So that's really the only thing. And there's also this other section that I have on the presentation where it's specific advice from a Facebook recruiter. So stay tuned for that. But the preferred qualifications here is the same thing that I've been saying in the past. They want to see indication that you can problem solve, which is what we saw in the Amazon listing. But look how they word it. They say demonstrated software engineering experience. And software engineering, if you remember the last presentation, I don't know if you saw it, software engineering is basically problem solving. They are looking for people with previous internship. If you don't have one, don't worry. They're looking for someone with work experience. Don't worry about that one. But look at this one, coding competitions or publications. That's something any undergrad could do, right? There's really nothing stopping you unless you're really in the unfortunate event where you really don't have enough time because you need to support a family or something like that. But definitely do keep on trying to see if you can squeeze a little bit of coding competitions. It will be beneficial for you at the end of the day. So let's go ahead on to the next slide, where I will cover a more specialized role. This is a full-time role. PhD students are PhD and master's students are a little bit more tricky because, like I said, I'm not one of them. So it gets a lot more specific, and I guess the same general rule applies. They want to see that you have deep learning, computer vision, AR, VR, all of those things that are listed in the minimum qualifications. They want to see if you can have any side projects specifically demonstrated in your resume. So if you can prove it with your GitHub profile, if you can prove it with your README on your GitHub project, then likelihood of, again, getting a response increases by a lot. And notice, I will say that point when it comes. I was gonna say something else about your bullet points, but I think I cover them here. Or it doesn't matter. So the format is another thing that you need to keep a lookout for. Keep in mind for these resumes. Remember that resumes or recruiters have thousands and thousands of applications or applicants within literally 24 hours or minutes of posting the job listing. So the better the recruiter and the easier it is for the people to have the ability to extract information from your resume as quickly as possible and be able to say immediately yes or no to your resume, the better. So this is also a little bit iffy as well because it differs for different positions. For example, some roles, it might benefit you to go with a more creative approach and show your design chops or something like that. I haven't applied for any of those roles, but I have seen some friends' resumes where it's not the conventional format. It's a sort of like a 2-column design. It has a profile picture, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you do want to keep in mind that you want to make it as easy as possible for the recruiter to extract your information. So this is the order that I used. Sort of follow this order. The skills and education should be at the top. This might be a little bit confusing because I've seen some people put their skills at the very bottom, and this advice stems from, actually it's funny how I got the advice. It stems from a YouTube video from someone that said that the recruiter told them about it. So it doesn't matter. Basically, recruiters said that from Microsoft said that the skills should be at the top. So that's why I put it in the first thing. Your education as well at the top, because it always has been. That's like a given. It doesn't really take up that many space anyway. So your skills at the top, let's explain that though. The reason why is because it gives a better flow. If you're able to demonstrate that you have the skills from the job listing first, like it says, oh, okay, perfect. This is fine. They have C and C++, and they also have a little bit of Java, or they might also have a little bit of Perl. It says so. So now the rest of the resume is going to be me seeing the projects that prove that they have those skills, maybe digging into their GitHub repos for a little bit, or maybe even handing this off to an engineer, seeing if this is actually, they have actually proved that they have these skills. So that's like, it makes more sense. You give a brief summary of who you are skills wise, who you are professionally, so that the entire rest of the resume is just you proving whatever you claim your skills to be. Definitely don't be putting skills that don't apply to the role. Put the skills that do apply to the role. So for example, Microsoft Office, CRM tools like Salesforce or something like that. They might not be entirely beneficial to put in your software engineering position, but it might be more beneficial to put them if you're going for a product manager role. So always keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head that it has to match. Remember, everything has to match. And the format will be easier if they see the first thing that they see is, oh, this is a match. Oh, this project proves it. Oh, this other project proved it as well. Right? It flows better. Education has always been there. There's really nothing to explain. Notable and relevant courses for interns. The main two courses that people look for is data structures and algorithms, because the interview is basically data structures and algorithms heavy. And if you haven't taken that course, or you haven't taken any open source course, like for example Coursera or MIT OpenCourseWare, then you can't really. It'll be a little bit more difficult for the recruiter to say, okay, let's give this person a chance to interview. But if the rest of your resume is good and you have that course, then perhaps it's still great, like a great opportunity. Programming courses as well, they want to see that you have taken something as well. And maybe this might be a little bit of a hack. Like I mentioned it earlier, MIT OpenCourseWare or any open source course that are online. I think they're called MOOCs. If you take any of those, you can also put them in there. It doesn't have to be courses specifically from the university. It could just be notable courses that you've taken online. Maybe you could put a little disclaimer that this course was taken online from from Udemy or for something like that. And it shouldn't set any red flags, honestly. So I know some people might be a little bit iffy on that, but like they might be saying that that's borderline lying, but I don't think it is, because it's a course that you've taken online. So another thing, but for full-time roles, again, you have to keep in mind the specialization on the role. If it's AI ML, is it AR, is computer vision? So you can put the relevant courses that you have taken and like actually bold them. That was the last point I was going to make, but it's whatever. So experience, hackathons, academic projects, notable projects. Notice these are all the same thing. Put them all in the same category, because they're really saying that you have the ability to problem solve. You have the ability to be able to take an idea, start developing it, present it, or maybe present it. The presenting is an obvious skill for software engineering, because you're going to be working as a team. So even though you have the GitHub repo and you've never made a README, now is the perfect time to put the README on there, make it as beautiful as you can, explain it as beautifully as you can, communicate it as with the best communication language that you have ever written, so that if someone does click on it, they can see that you have the skill of being able to explain this technical project to someone else. And this is the meat of the section, the meat of the resume. This is where you're going to have to prove the skills that you claim to have. Basically, every skill that you claim to have should be in these experiences, reflected on these experiences. You could, there's many different ways to approach this problem. You can have a different section, like one line, where it says tech stack used or tech stack, and it says Node.js, React, Heroku, whatever. And again, that's, like I said, this is proving that you have the experience you claim to have. Bonus points, if you can, like I sort of hinted at this earlier, or actually I spoke about it a lot. If you can have a perfect GitHub, like not a perfect one, a beautiful one that can explain your technical project, you'll get really good bonus points. And I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say guaranteed, because guaranteed is a bad word. Nothing is guaranteed, but extremely, extremely high likelihood that you will get at least attention. If not heard back, if not like, hey, follow up, here's the time to schedule your interview. Because these are the steps that most competitive candidates use. They do that. So if you want to be competitive, you definitely apply a lot of these tips. Optional award, certificate, summits, etc. So a lot of people attended, summits, or they have awards and launch certificates. It doesn't really beef up your resume as you might think, unless the role you're looking for is contingent on you having those things. So for example, security roles or computer defense contractors might have a preference over candidates if they already have their security clearance, because the process takes a long time. Some cybersecurity roles, they might care that if you have a CompTIA or CompTIA, I don't know, I might have done it wrong. So a lot of cybersecurity certificates. I'm not a cybersecurity person, so I don't know many of the certificates there are. There's a lot of them, and apparently if you get one of them, then you get a lot more, at least a lot more attention. And again, like I said, like, it doesn't really pad your resume as much as you think. Really, the bulk of your resume should be your experience, and that's about it. Bold, the most important and eye-catching things. Again, if the job listing said bonus points if you have X technology stack used, bold that technology stack so that it's easy to read and say, oh, they have this, and I was looking for this, and they had bonus points if they had this, so I'm gonna give them a bonus point. So that's the formatting in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and look at a little bit of an example. This is my bad, I forgot to update the label, but this is like sort of an example. You notice that the skills are at the top and not at the bottom. Notice how the project and experience is like basically the entirety of the resume. Notice how some of the tech stack used is bolded. You see HTML, CSS bolded, JavaScript bolded, Figma bolded. This is like a halfway through resume that I was going through with another person I was helping them with the resume building, and this is the sort of format that I use for mine as well. Mine was a little bit different. Mine was a little bit weird, actually. I don't know. I'll share mine in a little bit, maybe in the time where it's like when we close and be on Discord. I'll share my screen and share my resume. I have it on LinkedIn, but so you can access it if you really want to. But it's basically the same format as this. It's education up top, skills at top. Notice the skills isn't really as big as you might see on other people's. It's literally 1 or 2 lines, but the main things that they're looking for is JavaScript, Python, and React. Well, then in the experience, I'm going to highlight the parts where it says JavaScript, Python, or React. And again, this is not a full resume example. It's actually this shouldn't be used as your role, because this was like for a super early candidate, and it's not really for, I guess it's not really for super competitive roles, because and I also was editing this midway through, and there's another person's info in there, so it's done. This is not exactly the resume example I want you to take, but later on I'll give you some real examples. So the skill section, let's talk about a little bit more. I believe I hinted at this earlier. Only include what the job would like for you to know, or what the job basically would like for you to do in the role. Google Docs, Microsoft Suite, although they're very helpful to use, they're not really that impressive for a candidate. What would be more impressive is if you have the exact tools that they had required in the minimum qualification, plus the bonus ones, and plus maybe even some lower level things or higher level things for design roles, like tools like Figma and stuff like that, for if you are going for cybersecurity roles, and tools like Wireshark, something like that. So after that, if you have employed all of these tips, you are like well on your way to getting an interview. So now this would be the time where I would advise you to study up on your implementation of your skills, because you will be grilled on if you should expect to be grilled on the topics that you've mentioned. And the grilled on is a pretty harsh word, but really you should be able to have a conversation about whatever the project it is that you developed with whatever tech stack it was, and you should be able to explain the drawbacks, the alternatives, why you chose to do this thing. And it's okay, because we're undergrad students, they sort of know that we don't have that much experience. It's okay to say, oh, I actually implemented this way because I was on a tight time frame and I was needed to fulfill these requirements, and it wasn't really the best choice, but I was able to learn that XYZ was actually a better choice for XYZ reasons. And now you start having a conversation that the technical recruiter, the engineer is talking to, is like putting you into the higher ranks, because they're saying, oh, this person is thinking about the design choices they made. This is actual software engineering. So this is another advice I think I said as well. Recruiters say customizing your resume to fit the job posting is probably one of the best things that you could do to increase, I keep on saying that. You know what I was about to say. Templates check the Discord. I'll be posting a lot more the templates that I was talking to. There's just one event in Facebook where the recruiter shared a template. I still have that. I'll post that in there as well. A good example, but I think it could be improved upon. For example, I didn't mention any summaries or anything like that, qualification summary or a brief bio of who you are. It's completely unnecessary because it takes up the recruiter's time. They might not have the time for that. But if you want, I mean, I wouldn't use it, but I don't think it would hurt you as much as having a completely bad format of a resume or completely irrelevant experience. Like, I don't think it would hurt you as much. So I would remove it. It's personal choice for me. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on Discord. I'm going to be posting templates soon, maybe a few hours after the lecture or after the webinar. And some example bullets I have already set up for y'all so you can brainstorm the action verbs. I think there was an activity where I said that it was optional for you to do. If you brainstorm action verbs, and it'll be helpful for you because you've already put some thought into what would be good action verbs to use on your bullet points on your resume. I have compiled a list of successful resumes, people that interned at Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Slack, IBM, and I put them in a Google Doc, and you can see the exact formatting they use, the exact words they used. And yeah, I wasn't able to go in a little bit deeply on this, but basic summary about your bullet points is that it's going to follow this format. It's going to be the verb. It's going to be optionally, you can have the quantification of what the impact it was. You do have to put the impact, but quantifying is a little bit optional because sometimes it's not as clear cut as other things. For example, debugging an application might be fixed or cleared 10 mission critical bugs from a programming assignment or something like that. It's not as clear cut as, for example, if you were to say, oh, I had an impact by being able, it's not, you can't quantify people being inspired, like I inspired people. It's a real impact, but maybe saying something like I inspired a mentor to continue to pursue their roles in software engineering. Real impact, real valid experience to have because you're mentoring someone in software engineering, but you're not able to quantify it as, for example, led a speech or was participant in a panel for 400 attendees in diversity in tech, something like that would be a lot more easier to quantify. But, get creative with those things. Quantifying is one of the things that I enjoy the most. It really makes your resume a lot stronger because it demonstrates your impact better than not having any numbers, right? And I guess I'm sort of going a little bit on a tangent. It's not tangent, it's less formatted right now. Kind of put these slides very last minute, but it works. It is still very valuable advice, hopefully. What we should be doing for your bullet points as well is, if you are a very beginner and you have not that much experience, don't be afraid to say how many lines of code your program was, because they will consider the fact that you are a complete beginner, and they will say, oh, this person wrote a program that had 100 or 200 or 300, 400, 500, however many lines it was. They're going to say, oh, wow, this person is, at least is able to demonstrate how much work they actually put in. And yeah, so this is, I believe, okay, yeah, one more thing. I thought it was the end of the presentation, my bad. Advice from recruiter at Facebook. I will be sharing the slides so you can actually have this, but the basic gist of it is be involved in your campus, participate in hackathons, participate in workshops like these, so you are, better than at least people that haven't participated in workshops like these, or not better, just more competitive. Your graduation date does matter. It's something I didn't cover, but typically it does matter for the role, the type of role as well. If you are applying for full-time, they're going to want to see you graduate within a year or 2 years. It's very hit or miss. Some companies I should compile a list, but they really hire like high school students, and it would be very beneficial for high school students as well to pad their resume and be able to get experience quicker if they apply to the roles, because not many people know about them, and not many people know about the roles that are only for first year or second year students. I kept on hearing and I kept on imposing this self-doubt early in my career, is that the doubt that I imposed was that I had to be a senior or a junior, and I had to be having a GPA of 4.0 to even get roles. And it's very negative, and it definitely killed the motivation to even try. So careful with that. You're in Mobi, so definitely reach out to me and other people that have gone through the application process, because we've been there, and we can provide to you some advice that is beneficial. Tag us on the channels like, hey, at John, what I'm currently doing this. What should I be focusing on? They're saying that my graduation date was the reason, and I'm feeling pretty bummed out. Don't worry about it. Just tag me, and I'll be able to provide some advice there. Support you in your journey. Languages to know is definitely, there's nothing in particular you need to be focused on. I covered that already. Yeah, they said if a position requires. Okay, I was about to get nervous because look right here. It says many recruiters will seek for specific languages, which is complete opposite of what I was saying. So, yeah, no, it's because if it is a position that requires it, right? So, for example, Facebook has a lot of their tech stack in PHP or a modern version of PHP. So, being able to understand that, does make you a stronger candidate. And so there's more advice in there. If you can include your LinkedIn, include your GitHub, it's a lot easier for recruiters to get a more of a personal image of who you really are. If you include those things, profile pages as well, portfolio websites, I'm sorry. They will click on them. So it's a lot, because there's probably, for one person that has all of those things, there's probably like 5 people that don't. So or maybe like 10 people. It's not an exact statistic, but I don't think I've seen that many people or that many of my friends that have a lot of these things. Even I don't have all of them. Like, I don't have a portfolio website. I need to work on it. And it's I'm assuming whenever the recruiter stumbles upon someone that does have that, they click on it and they start, being a little bit nosy and seeing what you've done. Which is a good sign, because you want that to happen, right? You want to get attention from these recruiters. So at this time, I'll be opening up to questions. I don't think anyone has any questions. There's only 5 people in here. Anyone that's not viewing this live and views it in the YouTube VOD, shame on you. Why aren't you here? Questions. You could have asked your question here. Maybe you had a question, can't have it answered right now. It is what it is. Definitely, no, in all seriousness, if you do have a question, definitely do put I'm sorry, Long just said, we seek attention in the chat. It's true, we are very attention seeking. So you kind of have to be like that. You have to be sort of boastful and not be humble anymore when you're in your resume, because I guess, again, you're competing against people and they're putting their best work forward. So you'd be at a disadvantage if you said, yeah, no, it wasn't that impressive. It was only 1,000 commits, not that impressive. You want to say, I did 1,000 commits. Maybe don't say that in the interview. Like say, get in their face and say, I did 1,000 commits. I deserve this. Definitely don't say that. But on the resume, you just bold it, and it will show that you have more confidence in that. And that's what recruiters like to see, is they like to see your best work, right? Things that you are proud of. So now we have a question here from Long. What's your opinion on the mission statement? Okay, yeah, the mission statement is I haven't used it to be I haven't used it for the resume. I have used it though on the interviews. Whenever it's time to get your due diligence pants on, and you have to see what the company is up to, see what they're going for, see what the work culture is like. Getting that context so you can bring up during the interview is something, that will benefit you if you're able to tie it appropriately to your interview and start templated or formatted responses. It will make you a stronger candidate. So mission statement is definitely a plus. Maybe adding the text, the qualification summary, or the it's like some people have like sort of like little bios of who they are in the very beginning. It's like, yeah, it's a summary. Yeah, that's what it is. I was gonna call it a bio. Maybe that's a better word for it. If you have that, something about the mission statement that reflects like, oh, this person really cares about trees, this person really cares about investing, this person really cares about, I don't know, whatever the mission is, education, then it might be a lot more increase that likelihood. It's an art, really. That little portion about having a summary, even the entire resume is an art more than a science. What I just said to you is definitely applies to whatever your resume will end up. So it's general. Most strong resumes are like practically all of them have all of the things that I mentioned, but it's not like one resume is completely weak if they don't have this thing, that if they don't have the mission statement on your resume, your resume isn't like completely negated. They're not gonna send you to the shadow realm for not having that, right? So yeah, so like the emojis here from the chat, pretty good. I believe that's it. Maybe I'll ask myself one question. Question would be this: like, where are the resources? Where should I reach out to? Who should I reach out to? I'll be posting a lot of the resources that I've gathered, I've learned from, that had these tips in them. One of them is this one talk, like 30-minute talk from my Google recruiter. That is, yeah, it's a Google recruiter, or was a Google recruiter. Now they're at Amazon, I think. And they were basically laying out all of the information needed to start reaching out to recruiters on LinkedIn, start leveraging your online portfolio, start leveraging your online projects or anything like that. And it was overall beneficial for me because it helped me get that information, because I had no one around me that could provide me that valuable advice. So I'll be posting that in the Discord. I'll be posting it on the slides as well. Maybe not the slides, only on Discord. I don't know why I said I'll be posting that on that twice. So I kind of wanted to keep the conversation going, like never stop talking, but you do have to stop sometimes. I feel that I try to make my resume as hipster as possible. Long as said, yeah, hipster is good. It means you are. Yeah, there might be some psychological thing there. Actually, if you are a hipster, it kind of indicates that you're a young person and able to soak up information and learn a lot quicker than other people. Bring the energy up to improve the work culture and give that can-do attitude. So maybe you might be on there, onto something right there along. Okay, that's about it, I guess. There's no more questions. And I did have planned social coding time. So let's see how long I don't know how long it's been. 40 minutes. Okay, well, we're kind of at the end of the hour, but it was a Discord announcement that we will be having social coding after each Mobi Learn presentation. So after this hour is completely finished, we will be coding, or we'll be doing this now, actually. I don't know. Hop on the Discord. Yeah, we are going to do it now. Hop on the Discord, join the call room. We're going to be talking about programming. We can talk about the presentation if you have even more questions you want to ask me in person. If you're a complete beginner, don't be discouraged. Do come through. We're going to I already talked to the president, which was long. I need to drink water or something because I keep on pausing. That we were going to have, Long was going to present some actual useful material for you to have the build your confidence, be able to develop at least something. Like you will, after the social coding thing, you will leave having written something public on a website. It's through this platform called Glitch, if you haven't heard of it. It's basically an online Google Docs for your website, and it's actual real code, and it has the console and everything. So really good experience. We're gonna have that set up for you if you are a complete beginner. If you are not, definitely come through and bring your social engineering conversations. Let's see, the Discord. Oh, we can see we already have Long in there, and yeah, hop on the Discord. If you don't have it, I'll link it in the chat. But other than that, basically done with this Mobi Learn presentation. Thank you for coming. If you found any of the advice valuable, do share it with other people you think might also find value from this, or take notes and share the notes, or steal my content, post it on TikTok. I don't know, whatever works to get the information out there as much as possible. Thank you for coming again. And yeah, there's really nothing else for me to say here other than the fact that we do have social coding. Oh, okay. Let me post the Discord on the chat so you have it. Apparently I don't know how to use Discord. Apparently privacy settings, server boost, whatever. Here, it's on the UTA Mobi website, so you can click on it. UTA Mobi. Copy link address. Yep. So here it is. It is this one. So there it is. Now it's on the chat, public Discord. Yeah, thanks again for coming, and I hope you had a lot of valuable time here, or this time was valuable for you. If you do have more questions, please do ask them in the Discord. We're going to be having social coding, so get on over there. I think the presentation is going to end soon. But yeah, bye.